Okay, so we are gonna go ahead and get started. Um, my name is Andre Hicks, and I'll be your AMS application advisor for the next gen EHR enhancements that we've had added now. Um, so this is for the new next gen 8.31 release. Okay, and so this is the agenda for today. Okay, it's a quick overview of our agenda. So today we'll be reviewing the enhancements in the EHR framework and preferences. We have a few system slash practice templates, enhancements, a few screening tools, and our diagnostic data improvements. Okay, so I'm not going to read everything out, but here's a kind of overview what we're going to be looking at. Okay, here's some of our screening tools, our SDOH enhancements, and some things you might already have, but we're going to be kind of just to reiterate some of the new enhancements just in case you don't have it. Okay, so the first thing we are going to talk about will be the framework. Give me a second. So we're going to go ahead and log in. I'm already logged in for the session, but I'm going to go ahead and bring up a test patient for us so we can talk about the framework a little bit. Okay. Um,
Hello.
Okay, so here's a little bit of their new so here's the EHR preferences and framework. Okay, we've got our legacy top menu up here. Not a lot has changed. You can still customize this at the right here. So if I hit this drop down and add or remove buttons, you can still hit customize. So you can uncheck these boxes to be able to show up here. And obviously, if you hit customize, you'll be able to edit the size or preferred icons. Okay, so not much has changed here. Now, this used to be called the patient information card. I mean the PIB. So actually, this is now called the patient information card. Okay, so previously this was called the PIB. So we still have the demographic information in here. Any additional information that you want to put in here. And then we've also added in the new UI, you'll notice that the patient history window has been added here as a quick button. So you'll notice these icons here on the left. Okay, so this is a quick button ribbon that we've now added here. And then right here, you'll actually notice the patient history window. Okay, you're still going to have the displays of encounters and categories, and that's still going to be something that you can use here. Now, one thing we have added is this little bar right here. Okay, this is the order entry bar. Okay, and this will indicate which orders are inactive or placed for this encounter today. Okay, a red indicator will alert the patient that an order is past due. Okay, so for the most part, everything is still kind of the same. This is still the same, but we've made some enhancements with adding these buttons here. Okay, now if I want to actually get into customizing this, there is a way that we can customize some of the items in here and we can update that appearance. So if we wanted to customize a few things over here, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our application launcher. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go to file maintenance. We're going to go ahead and jump in here. Okay, I'm going to add, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. Okay. Okay, now once we're in here, we're going to go under master files and we're going to go to the EHR section and you're going to notice the application appearance. Okay, so now we can update how our application will look. And so this window is going to open up here. Okay, so in the file, you can now preview and configure the appearance of the EHR by adding or updating or adjusting quick buttons or just customizing the appearance of the encounter in the history tab for preference. Okay, you'll notice right here, the default section right here. Okay, so this is the out-of-box standard for the next-gen preferred display. Okay, so these are our default settings. Okay, however, you can create new and you can build a custom view for your practice and it will be added to the drop-down menu here. It'll be added to this drop-down menu. See this drop-down? So when you hit new, you can put that in here. Okay, you'll notice that we have the edit and the reset back to default. Okay, So you can also import and export configurations as well. Okay, and we can update that into here. Okay, so let's just say that I hit new. Okay, this configuration panel will open and you'll see that we're in the patient information. So this is for the patient information card. Okay, and you can update this information in here. If I hit edit, you'll be able to add that. You can update these fields here. If you don't want it to show up at all, like contact one, contact two, you can select none. And so they actually won't show and display. Okay, so by clicking that hyperlink, you'll be able to do that. Okay, so that's for this, right? That's our PIC. Okay, another thing is there are the quick buttons. Okay, remember we had the quick buttons on the left in the EHR. So these quick buttons right here. Okay, we can customize this as well. Okay, so if you can click to hide it right here. So this is going to enable or disable what you can see. Okay, you can also add and drop these orders. So if you want to move anything around, you can drag and drop these. Okay, so you can move these around, hide. One of the call outs I want to point out is this cogwheel here, okay? If you click on this cogwheel, you can verify how many appointments you want to see when hovering on it. Okay, so the default for this, so if I want to see the next upcoming, the default for this is 5, and you can look from the previous past 10, and you can update those settings in here. Okay, so you'll be able to customize that quick button right here. You see this right here is what we're customizing currently. Okay, now the next thing I want to talk about is this section right here. Okay, so this is the encounter history section, right? If we go ahead and click on the encounter history here, okay, so in the general tab, right? This is going to be general. You can see that we have the default view right here. Here's the general. So this is the default view that we currently have. You can adjust the practice preferences for how encounter data is displayed, such as date, time, and provider, right? So we've got different icons here that we can update. We can hide the encounters. We can show the most recent. We can do location. We can set the date. We can set the provider. Okay, so users can make the changes on their own under tools and preferences. However, if the practice makes changes to the appearance master file, the user must select reset to default on their preferences to see the updates. Okay, so you will have to hit reset. Okay. Any questions about this? Any quick questions about how we would customize this? Okay, so remember this is in your file maintenance field, okay? In your file maintenance, you'll be able to update everything that is showing in this appearance here. Okay. Our next enhancement that we're going to discuss is going to be pertaining to our care guidelines. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File. Okay, and I'm going to go to System Practice Template, and we're going to go to this configuration home. Okay, so this is where we can set up some procedures here. Okay, so previously, this is our configuration home. Okay, so previously, the stored procedures that update the care guidelines ran when you opened the chart. Okay, so now if we scroll down to the bottom, now you can set a nightly job to update the guidelines. This will improve the speed and efficiency of the system as well. And so you can set the number of days for the job to run, click, and save. I know this seems like a minor thing, but it actually increases the efficiency a lot. Okay, so instead of when you're opening that chart, it's loading everything, and now we'll actually do it more efficiently at night for you guys. So that's why this is the importance of this enhancement here. Okay, another enhancement that we have is when we go to care guidelines setup. So we're going to stay in this configuration home, and we're going to go to care guidelines setup. Okay, we're going to take a look at these blue icons here, okay? So in the Manage Group and Options panel with the 8.31, you're going to automatically get the DSI. So all these options are now, all these options in blue are now available, okay? We have always had access to the medication classes, but now we're going to have medication specific as access, okay? So in this template, okay, when you open this template up, the care guidelines
Yeah,
can
remember I
be
have training.
so let me get mute you. So in this template, care guidelines can be created for specific medications. and it can set to auto apply to the patient's chart when parameters are met, right? So if we put in a medication parameter in here and we add this into the care guidelines, it will auto apply to the chart for us. Okay. We've also added it to labs as well. So I'm going to go down here to the lab. So this is also available to us. Okay. And so what this is going to do, this is going to launch the manage reasons group template. Okay. And this allows you to streamline lab management, making it easier to configure, update, and organize lab-based guideline triggers. Okay. So any parameters we put in here can also apply to the chart. Okay. So in this gray panel right here, okay, is a read-only field that has been added to identify the specimen type required for a specific order. Okay, you can also configure the specimen type for an order set in file maintenance, right? So for any order sets, we're going to actually use file maintenance to update that. Okay, now in this laboratory configuration panel, the result status allows you to create guidelines for labs and set them to automatically apply to the patient's chart when those parameters are met as well. Okay, you can also see the result status DP list to include more options. Okay, so here, right here, and then we got the DP status down there. Okay, so here's the result status right here from the pick list. Okay, now let's say that we wanted to actually restore all these settings, right? These parameters we set up, and then we want to actually restore them. What we're going to do is actually open a different template as well. So we're going to go to File, we're going to go to System Practice, and we're going to go to the Care Guidelines Clear and Restore. Okay. Okay, so in the Restore Next-Gen Default Care Guidelines definitions, these are for the this all applies to the practice level. So the Enable button here is used to restore a selected guideline category to its default settings. Okay, and if we go down a little bit more, if we come to Report and Restore, okay, you can view the restoration details. Okay, so here it'll include the date, the time, and the current user's names in previous version. So in previous versions, you could only clear and restore once. Now you can rerun these. Okay. Now in report and remove, I'm going to come up a little bit right here. So in the report and remove and the report and restore panels, clicking on the reason type field, clicking on the reason type. Okay. We also have the SDOH interventions here as well. Okay, so if we want to put that for a reason that while we're restoring it, we've added the SDOH field to this. Okay, so you got the care guidelines set up, and if you want to restore it to the previous level, previous settings before, you're going to actually pull in this template for us. Okay, and don't forget the enable buttons at the top. Any questions about that as far as setting up the care line get set up and clear restore? Okay, perfect. All right, so our next enhancement, I'm going to go ahead and open up a template for us. I'm going to kind of remove some of these for us right now. I'm going to hit a new encounter for today. We're going to open an intake template, okay, and I'm going to show you this new enhancement that we have. Let me get set this to the office visit. Okay, so our next enhancement that we've made in the EHR are for the care guidelines. So if I open these care guidelines up, okay, you're now going to notice that there's an additional drop-down arrow here to open the filters guidelines. We're just going to click the pick list. Okay, so now we can filter these care guidelines by these options right here. Okay, now what we added is the free text. Okay, so if I put in free text, and I want to put influenza, it's going to search for me, and I'm going to be able to pull it up right here. Okay, now in order for us to get it back to the settings, if we want to kind of clear it again, we're actually going to hit this refresh button at the top, and it's going to restore it to how it was before. Okay, so those are the enhancements that we have for the clear guideline setup. Now, one thing I do want to point out is we have screening updates have been made to the health. These are some of the screening updates that have been made to the health maintenance for the following. So the lung cancers And the new annual lung CT for smokers ages 50. The 80 has been added. We also now have a colon cancer screening with reduced start age from 50 to 45 for all tests. And we've also added a diabetes screening, reduced start age from 40 to 35. Okay, so these are some additional updates that have been put in for the care guidelines. Okay, um, now to go to our next enhancement. We're going to open our communications template, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to open our template and we're going to go to our communications template, okay? Okay, so the enhancements in here, right? So I've opened this communication. This template allows the user to see a summary of all communications on a single template for a patient. Okay, now this is a read-only template, okay? Just keep it in mind, this is a read-only template. Okay, and at the top of the template, you can adjust the view, okay, in different time frames. So I can do the last 3 months, last year. That's been added. I also have a task button here as well. Okay, this is for quick access if needed. And if you need to document a new telephone communication, it's already expanded, so if I go down here, I can click the communication button to launch a regular template for the telephone call. Okay, but for the most part, this is a read-only thing for us, right? Except when we want to launch this. Okay, so those are the new enhancements we made for the communications template. We've also made some enhancements to our custom print and send. Okay, so I'm gonna take you into here. If we go to File and we go to Custom Print and Send, the enhancement that we've made on here is we've added this box here for Show Only My Practice. Okay, that way it kind of reduces the error if you have multiple practices under the same enterprise. This can help reduce some of that for us to make it a little bit easier for us to see who we're going to send it to. Okay, so this is the one enhancement that we have made to the custom print and send. All right, perfect. All right, so we're going to dig a little deeper in and we are going to talk about immunizations. We have made some new enhancements for this. So I'm going to come to the immunization here. Okay. And I'm going to order a new one. So let's just say I want to hit new. Okay. And so here's some of our immunizations here. I'm going to order the Hep B. Okay. We're going to hit yes anyway. And I'm going to say I canceled it and I'm going to save that order. Okay. So let's say we order this. I'm going to go back into the order summary. Okay. This is what I just ordered. And I'm going to go ahead and hit update. Okay. And we're going to document as given. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and give this immunization. I'm going to show you what we've added. So I'm going to change this to administered. Okay, and I'm going to hit save. Okay, now the enhancement that we've made is once this is completed, we now can put in some vaccine reaction details. So if I go back to update, you're now going to see the vaccine reaction here. Okay, so now I can click in here and let's say that from this Hep B vaccine, I now, I have rash after this. So once this has been added, you can now save this, and this has been added to the actual immunization as well. So once that's saved, it'll be there, and you'll be able to see this. Okay, so if I go to immunizations, and I think I just did this one right here. Okay, it will usually show down here these reactions. Okay, so once it's saved, it will update. Let me see if I can get that to save again. Save. Let's do a different one. Well, let me show you what it'll look like. It'll look like this, right? This vaccine will pull in there. But once you complete it, you have to go back into order summary, hit update, and then you'll be able to actually put in those reactions. Okay, so that is how we'll be able to see those new reactions that have been added. Now, there have been some other updates as well. Okay, so here's some new enhancements that we have for this. So each manufacturer of the COVID-19 vaccines have different recommendation rules as approved by the ACIP. Okay, so obviously some manufacturers have two-dose vaccines. Another's only expecting one, right? The J&J has the one. The EHR will populate the code based on the CPT code of the vaccine and the sequence of dosage with the status of administered. Okay, so this code has been added to the previous EHR versions up to 5.9 as well. Okay, so these are new rules that they've put in. Okay, so now also if the second COVID-19 vaccination dose is administered from a different manufacturer, the admin CPT code of the second manufacturer is going to be populated. All right. And if the admin CPT code is not present for any administered COVID-19 vaccine, the default code of 90471 will auto-populate there. Okay. So those are some of the changes that we have with the immunizations, right? The reactions and these new code and these new changes here. Okay. Our next enhancement, okay, is going to be pertaining to the medication module. So I'm going to go ahead and come in the medications. Okay, I'm going to show you this enhancement here. Okay, so let's say that on this active list, I want to send one of these to the pharmacy, right? So if I hit send, and let's just say I hit send, this is the new enhancement that's going to pop up. Okay, the user is going to be notified if any inactive pharmacy is selected, it is going to be redirected to select a new pharmacy. Okay, so if I hit OK, it's going to redirect me to find a new active pharmacy for this. Okay, so if you pick a new pharmacy here, you'll still need to update the patient's chart on the pharmacies, but this will be here. And now you can select that new active pharmacy. Okay, so that's been one of the new enhancements that we've added. Okay, for the medications. Another thing that we've added is if you go down here to additional right here, okay, and we scroll down. Okay, so for electronic case reporting, the med module was updated to allow for the capture of a codified description of how well the patient is responding to the actual medication. So if I click this drop down here, I can see patient's condition is improved, it's unchanged, or it's worsened. Okay, so this is another enhancement that we've added for the medication. Okay, and to go to the next one, still all the medications, we're going to talk about this right here, prior authorization priority. Okay, so this was updated to meet the EPA new standards. Okay, so we obviously have two options. We have the standard and we have the expedited. Okay, so the default is set to standard for all prescriptions unless the user obviously changes it to expedited. Okay, and this should only be used in emergent situations. Okay, so to receive a prompt response back from the patient's PBM, the EPA will now require that the day supply be entered under the SIG. Okay, so that's the only way you're going to get that prompt response back is the day supply. Okay, the EPA is automatically initiated when you accept the medication and you save it to the patient's chart, and one of the following conditions are met. Okay, so the selected medication requires a prior authorization through the real-time prescriptions benefit request, or the patient's formulary requires prior authorizations for the medication. Okay, or if the response is partially denied, you'll also get the you'll get the initiation, and also it'll be approved, but with limits. Okay, so the example will be if the provider prescribes 100 ml of a medication and the PBM only approves 90 milliliters, right? It's partially denied, then you'll get that prompt. Okay. Um, the next thing is in the active medication list, if I right click and I view the EPA or view PA notes, okay, this will also pull this in. Okay, so we'll be able to see the EPA bounce back from this. Okay, so we can go ahead and look it up by clicking and right clicking that. Any questions so far about the medications? Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next enhancement, okay? This is gonna have to do with some of our templates, okay? So if I go to File and we go to system practice templates, right? And we go to practice. We're going to go to pre-encounter documentation, okay? We're going to launch this template. Okay, so this template shows the next 14 days of appointments. Okay, you can use the date, location, provider name, or name filters here to filter any of that information up here. Okay. You can also, if so, you can drill this down a little bit further. If you select this checkbox, you can show completed or finalized appointments, or you can select these rows to open the charts here. Okay, so if you double click in here, right, the pre-encounter, this is the pre-encounter SOAP right here at the top. This template allows for the provider to document on a patient prior to the patient actually being checked in. Okay, and this can also auto map to your NG mobile dictation template. Okay, so that's for the mobile app, right? So that will also be able to be used to be pulled into here as well. Okay, and you can also add notes, obviously, manually. You can use my phrases and you can do copy dictation. That's what's going to be pulling forward, right? So if you want to pull any of this over, you can pull that forward into the chart. Okay, and then at the bottom, I want you to notice this right here. Okay, the finalize and send a chart button will not activate until the patient has actually been checked in and the counter has been created. All right, so if they're not checked in, this button will not activate. Okay, it even tells you a little note here. Okay, so you're not going to be able to send it unless they're checked in. Okay, the provider will need to return to the template and click the button to push this information to the actual patient's chart once checked in. Okay, so this is a little enhancement that we made with this pre-encounter documentation. Okay. And then now we're going to talk about that NG mobile dictation template a little bit. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and open this up as well. So if I open this template here and we open the NG mobile, right? This is for the mobile app. Okay. So in order to provide the same functionality across the specialties, the NG mobile dictation template has been enhanced with additional features. Okay, so the NG Mobile dictation provides the panel view of the dictation fields with the following enhancements. We've got the histories and previous diagnostics section fields have been added to the template. Okay, the My Phrases links have been added to the template as well. So when so you can open this and you can manage these, and when this is going to open for you, okay, so you can manage your phrases in here as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Now, the copy dictation button here has also been added to the template. It's going to open the mobile dictation history template where you can copy the mobile dictation from previous encounters to the current one. So if I open this copy dictation here and I click this, okay, and I double click, right? So let's just say here, right here, and I wanted to add these forward. You have to click the grid to make it populate down here. Physical exam. And that's all this is going to be pulled over now. Okay, so if I hit save and close, you're going to see that information has been pulled in here. Okay, I'm just going to pull it up for us to see here. Okay, so now you'll be able to add that in here. Okay, any questions about this? So you can enter by the way, you can enter a maximum of 10,000 characters in the narrative fields. Okay, while documenting this. So just to be sure, 10,000 each. See how each box has it in here? Okay. And I think I want to check one more thing in here. Okay, perfect. All right. Any questions about this? Right. So this is a way to pull over from your mobile app. Okay. So just be sure that you actually click on these grids to pull that information in, or you want that green dot to appear. Okay. Another thing that I want to show you is if we go to our SOAP and we go to intake and we're going to go down here to the narrative notes. Give me a second. Actually, we're going to open the SOAP template. So we're going to get and open this SOAP. So I want to show you some dictation fields we've added. So if you go down here to the bottom and you go to narrative note right here, it's already open. So the SOAP template now displays the narrative notes panel, which is a copy of the NG mobile dictation template. Okay, so here's what I remember I pulled that in, right? So it popped into the narrative notes here. Okay, so you can use copy dictation to copy previous dictations here as well. So if I want to add any additional things, I can add that in here. Okay, so that put the NG mobile dictation pulled right over to our narrative notes. Okay, this is another enhancement that we made. So it includes ambient assist in dictations from Next Gen Mobile. Okay, so that's where all this is pulling from. All right, once we copy it over. Okay, perfect. All right. Our next enhancement is going to be pertaining to patient demographics. So we've added some things in here. So if I go up here and I'm going to go to the histories. Okay, we're going to go to social here. We're going to go to social history and we hit add or edit. Okay, scroll down. See this employment information? Okay, so we've added this enhancement in here, right? We can add our employment information. So to meet the rule requirements, you can now select an employer from the modified patient information template. And so when I go in here, I can put in the employer, I can put in the employment status right here, occupational hazards, the industry, the usual industry. We can also do I think they have the retirement date in here. Okay, so all of that has now been updated in here. And just, I know it's a little small, but just remember it's going to be here in the social history in this link right here. Okay, right under the employment once you open the history. Okay, so that is some of the enhancement that we made for the social history. Okay. So just to give you a quick snapshot of this, obviously we're not going to read it all off, but this is just the following. So the following templates have been modified to reflect all employment information from the employment occupation template. Okay, so all of that will be in there. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about our prepare assessment tool. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and this is another template that we have. So I'm gonna close some of these. I don't want to get too much in here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and open this template and we are gonna go to our prepare assessment tool. Okay, so to comply with the new regulatory compliance, we've made some changes to the prepare assessment tool. Okay, so you are no longer required to select personal characteristics from a list. However, now you can just select these new radio buttons, right? The little bubbles. You can just check these right here. Okay, so in order to calculate your score, you'll need to complete all mandatory fields marked in red. So let me just show you what that looks like. Let's say I don't complete all the fields, right? And then when I go down to the bottom and I try to calculate the score, right? It's going to tell me I need to go back and finish everything that's listed in red. Okay. So this is a new enhancement here. So you can go back and know what questions you actually need to go fill out. Okay. That is some of the enhancement that we've made to the prepare assessment tool. Okay. Um, so that's really it for the prepare assessment tool. Another thing we want to show you, our next enhancement that we've made to the EHR is going to actually have to do with referrals. Okay, so I'm going to actually go back to my intake. Okay, and we're going to go to order management. Okay, so we've added the ability to see your sexual orientation and gender identity on referral letters. Okay, so this wasn't here before, but now it is. So under order management, I'm going to go to referrals. Okay, and I'm going to look at the referral letter. Let me get and click one first. Sorry, referral letter. It's going to generate this document for us. Okay, so at the top here is going to be our SOGI right there. Okay, so we've now added this enhancement to pull this information into your referral letter. Okay, this wasn't here previously, but now it is. Okay, and then just to build on referrals a little bit, okay, we're going to talk about some configurations. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the configuration home. I'm sure you guys remember that. We're going to go back to File, System, and we're going to go to Configuration home. Okay, so the reason why I want to talk about this is about the referrals. Okay, so we now have the option. So if we go to Practice Configuration, right, to set set up our practice, we'll now have the option to turn on program referrals. So in referral management, now you'll actually be able to choose the programs. So if I go down here, let me find it. It's in alphabetical order. So first thing on, we want to make sure this button is checked on so we can actually enter these programs. Okay. I passed it. There it is. Sorry, I was looking for it in here, but it's actually going to be under order plans. So here's a referral program right here. You have to check this box, and that's going to enable us to actually put in referral programs. Okay, so let me show you a little bit what this will look like. So let's say that we're back inside of our SOAP template or intake template. Let's use our SOAP one. Okay, so if I'm in my SOAP and I go to assessment and plan, okay, and I click on referrals, give me a sec. Okay, and we go to referrals. Okay, you're going to notice that we now have this referral program right here. Okay, you'll notice that we have the radio buttons here. So we have internal referrals. We've added this as well. And for that checkbox that we enable, we'll actually be able to put in those programs, right? So if that box is not checked on, you won't have the ability to put it in the programs. Okay. And then another enhancement that we've actually added as well is in the reason for referrals, we actually have the ability for the SEOH. So actually, you got to hit the drop down right here, right? See how I hit this and it didn't show up, right? You actually have to hit this drop down, and we've added the SEOH as a additionally to this field as well. Okay, so now we can have this reason as well, the SDOH. Okay. Any questions about that? Right. First, you got to turn on the enable program, and then this was going to activate this box for us. Okay, perfect. All right. Our next enhancement that we've made to the EHR are going to be really pertaining to our screening tools. Okay, so I'm going to go back up to the top and I'm going to go to screenings. So we've made some additional enhancements to our screening tools here. I'm going to go over a couple of forms that we have. Make sure you hit this box all because sometimes you won't find it. So I'm going to hit all. The first enhancement that we made were to the PHQ and the PHQ9. So let me find it first and go over the enhancements. All right, let's go to P. Okay, so you can now document different responses for the same question. And so additionally, a message appears on the template if the response differs. Okay, and if you want to clear all, you can clear it all here. And this has been added to both templates. So you can clear all entries from respective templates. Okay, they added this, and now we have additional options. Okay, I have to go back to, and if I open the PHQ again, that was the 2, open 9, right? You'll see the multiple responses. And again, you'll see the clear all here as well. Okay, so we've made those 2 enhancements to the 2 PHQs. Okay, we've also added additional enhancements to our audit and audit C. So if I go to the top here, I'm going to go to the audit C screening. Okay, So now in the audit C, you can now document different responses as well to the same questions, and a message will appear on the template for verification. Okay, now on the audit C questionnaire, there is a hyperlink to the audit screening instrument right here for the ease of use to quickly change between templates. Okay, these questions will also map to the social determinants of health templates. Okay, and again, we have the clear all here. So if I open the audit here, right, it's going to open this up, and this is what we have access to. Okay, this is the another enhancement that we've made to this audit C form. Okay, another form that we have made an enhancement to is the hunger vital signs. So I have to hit all again just to be sure. And I'm going to go to the hunger vital signs. Okay, so the hunger vital sign screening tool has been integrated into the next-gen adaptive content engine workflow to support the requirements for social determinants of health with a focus on food insecurity. So if I go down here to hunger vital signs right here, it's been added here. Here's the food insecurity risk right there. Okay, it includes two standard questions, and you can enter the responsible with the available options, obviously these two right here. And this allows you to collect information quickly, improve care planning, and supports compliance and regulatory standards. Okay, and I do want to scroll down to the next part of this, which is, I think it's in both of these, exposure to violence. Okay. So this is in the Hark template as well. So I'm gonna pull that up too, but the Hark right here is so under exposure to violence, the section of the SEO template. So this is to help improve care planning and support compliance for regulatory standards. The five Hark questions are now available, right? The five right here. Okay, so you can access this tool directly from the screening tool available menu, and the answers will be codified in the CB, ICD, and the SNOMED in the LOIN codes, and it'll be configured using the coded results mapping template. Okay, so just to show you in that, there's also in the HARC one as well. So let me hit all. Let's look at the HARC. Okay, it's the same way to get in there. It's the same way to get into to the section, but it's right here too. Okay, so in the hunger vitals and here you still have this exposure to violence. Okay, so all of that has been added to our tools. Okay. Two more. We got one more one we're gonna look at. The next questionnaire that we've made some changes to is the ACS disability questionnaire. Let me scroll to the top. Here it is right here. Okay, so in the screening tool segment, you can select the ACS disability questionnaire to answer questions related to the disability status. Okay, so this is going to apply to all specialties. Okay, so you'll be able to pull this up and put this information in. Okay, the screening tool laws configuration tips allow you to select the ACS disability questionnaire in the screening name tool field. Okay, so this is what we've added as well. Okay, any questions about these screening tools? Okay, so we've made enhancements in just a few of these templates here, and just to be sure you hit all so you can make sure you find it, because sometimes I'll forget myself and I can't find it, but I'll hit all and I'll be sure to find it. Okay. Now let's talk about a little bit our next enhancement. This is about custom screening tool enhancements, right? So it's really about custom screening tool building. Okay. So if I want to make some enhancements to the screening tools, I'm going to go back into File, System, Practice Template, and Custom Screening Tool Builder here. Okay. So we're going to open this up. Okay, now the custom screening tool builder and custom screening templates have been enhanced to improve the usability of these screening forms. Okay, so they are created by specialty type. So let's just say I wanted to like some of these screening tools here. Let's say and these are based on specialty. That's why we're only seeing a certain amount of them. So let's say I want to create one with a little more options. This right here. Okay, so the middle grid are the current screening questions. Okay, and it will display and they'll show if they're required or not. So if they're required, you see the N. If they're required, you can change them to yes. I can change the order of here. You can see the answers here, right? I can change the order by pushing the up arrow, or down arrow or straight to the top. Okay. Also above here, we've added a new enhancements for percentage. We didn't have that before, but we've also added percentage. And also, we've also added this, we've increased the number of characters you can use. It's 500. I used 3, so 497 are left. Okay, so you can put this in here to update that as well. Okay, so here's the question. See, here's right here. Here's the actual question right here, and you're limited to 500. Another small enhancement I want to point out is in this top right here, you'll see a legal disclaimer hyperlink. Okay, so you can add or update the note used for consent for using the screening tools. Okay, so if you open this up, you'll be able to pull that. This right here is the consent. That'll be for the legal obligations. Okay, so this is how we'll custom build. This is how we'll build our screening tools. We can customize them. We can change the order of the questions. You can create the questions. Now, again, this will be based on the specialty, so that's why we didn't see all those the same screening tools in here. Okay, but that is how we'll use this for the custom tool builder. Okay, now I'm going to go back a little bit to our configuration home. Okay, let me go ahead and close this. Okay, so they've made some additional changes. So if I come down to the diagnosis group here, okay. So to comply with the US CDI V3 standards, 2 new categories for the SDOH diagnosis problems have been included. So if I go to manage reference systems right here under diagnosis groups, okay, and I hit hold on, let me go down a little bit right here. And I go to the reference system. Sorry, I'll go down here. You'll go to the SDOH. This option has now been added to the pick list. Okay. Now if I go down a little bit further to the problem groups, right here, problem groups configuration. Okay, so under the problem group name, they've also added it as well. Okay, so they now have the disability status, the SDOH, and the SDOH assessments. Okay. This is the new enhancement that we now added here. Okay. So just make sure you understand this on the diagnosis groups here, and it's going to be under here. Okay. The next thing I wanted to look at is if we go down here to attribute/feedback. Okay, this is going to open this window up for us. And we're going to look at this section right here. So in the attributes view and management template, to meet the new regulatory standards, we've also added the SDOH elements and health assessment categories have now been added right here. Okay, so this allows the users to document the attributes at the data element level instead of the class level. Okay, so we've just added this section in right here and also here. Okay, and that is going to be under attributes. I know you get used to, jumping around, but this is where this is going to be. And that's where you're going to notice these new enhancements. Okay. And we're going to stay in here for the configuration home right now. Okay, so another thing I want to show you guys is if we go under practice configuration, okay, and it always takes me a second to find this. It's in alphabetical order. We're going to talk about sensitive encounters. So I'm going to try to find this. It's always small. Here it is. Sensitive encounters, okay? So checking this box enables the automatic flagging of sensitive encounters. Okay, so checking this on and off right here, and I can check this box here. So let's say that we put in a CPT code that's going to trigger this. Like for example, I put this in last night, something that might trigger a sensitive encounter, right? You can add these elements in here, okay? And it will actually mark it as sensitive. Okay, so you can configure using location, right? You can do the code system, you can do the code value, and you can use additional information to put that in. Okay, so you can utilize these various code sets, including ICD-10, CPT, the HCPS. You can use medications. You can use your LOINC codes and SNOMED. Okay, now the application uses the sensitive data from the data share module, which allows you to import the sensitive code into the sensitive encounter configuration template. Okay, and I'm going to show you where you'll actually might see something like this. All right. So let's just say um, I'm going to open the finalized template and kind of show you how it might trigger. I think I added it before. So I put gonorrhea on there, right? So let's just say for today's assessment, right? So down here you have your submit code, right? But if I added that gonorrhea in there, this one right here, and I added this in, okay? And when I submit the code, it's going to trigger that as a sensitive encounter once I add that in there. Okay, so that is a way that you can configure that. To this is how that's how you set up what you want to set as the parameters for determining if the encounter is going to be sensitive. But always make sure that box is checked to turn it on first. Okay. So now we're going to get ahead and jump to our next enhancement, and so we're going to go back to our configuration home here. Okay. Now some of you guys may already have this functionality, but just to reiterate and go over it. Okay. Um, we're going to go to the next one, which is the copy previous. Let me go up. Okay, this section right here. Okay, so we're in this section right here. We're going to talk about copying previous information forward. Okay, so now the default duration, you'll look at that right here. So this can be set as far as back as 2 years, right? So you can pull that information from 2 years back and pull that forward. Obviously, if these boxes are checked, that's going to enable access to that. And if they're disabled, you won't be able to access that information. Okay, so we got physical exam, we got the review of systems, we got the reason for visit, we got diagnosis plan, we got display on text field. So all that information could be copied forward. Okay, and I'm going to show you how we use it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So let's say we're in the SOAP template. Okay, and I'm going to go to our reason for visit. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and click this HPI history to access the copy forward. Okay, um, so here you can use the filters at the top to adjust the time frame. As we already know, it's 2 years. So maybe you want to look back only a month. You can change that, right? You can change that to 1 month back, 2 months back, up to 2 years. Okay. And you're gonna see this grid right here. You have this grid. You can scroll down and look for that with the encounter date. Okay. And then one thing I want to call out is I want you to notice this sensitive column. When we talked about setting those sensitive parameters, you'll notice this star here was marked as sensitive. Okay, so I can pull this information into the grid. So let's just say I do want to use this one. You're going to add to the grid. That's going to pull it down here. You're going to hit copy and close. And now that information has been launched and pulled forward here. Okay, so this is not only for reason for visit, we can do it in all the other parameters that we set, right? If we go to the next section, and let's say we want to go to we did reason for visit. Let's say we want to go to physical review of the systems. So if we go down review of systems, same type of thing. We go to ROS history, right? It's going to pull up all our filters. We got the same filters in the same way we can look through this. Okay. If I want to copy this right, I'm going to copy, and that's going to pull over as well, right? Same type of functionality. Okay. If I go to if I wanted to go down to, oh, one thing I wanted to show you though, I want to call out. Okay, so once the data is copied over, especially for the review of the systems, you'll notice that there was this little note right here. Findings have been copied from encounter 4/7/2026. Okay, so it's going to let you know that you actually copied it forward. Okay, so that has been added for us. We've even got it in the physical exam as well, right? If I go, let me see if I find the physical exam. You close all these so I can see them. Physical exam here. Okay, so here's the physical exam history. Same type of functionality. Okay, we've got the filters at the top. Obviously, we can select the rows here. Same type of functionality. I will copy in physical form, and that's going to pull in here. And you're going to see the same type of timestamp here telling you that when you actually copied it forward. Okay, so all of that is still pulling forward. Okay, so that is a little bit about copying forward, right? Setting it up, enabling it, and being able to utilize this enhancement. Okay. Then we've got assessment and plan too. We've got that here as well. So if I open assessment and plan, you'll hit the DX and DP history. Okay. Again, we've got our filters at the top, provider, reason for name, anything that will help us change that. One thing I do want to call out is you've got the all assessment and encounter assessments. Okay, so what is different in the copy forward is that the users can copy all diagnosis and assessment and plans or use a row by row add for specific ones you want to copy over. So you can click one, add to grid. You can click this one, add to grid. See, I can add multiple. Okay. And you're going to note again, we've got our columns here for the asterisk for sensitive encounters. Okay. So that's always going to be available when we're in terms of when we're able to see the actual encounters. So copy and close, and assessment and plan has pulled in here as well. Okay. Any questions about the copy forward functionality? It's pretty straightforward. If you haven't used it before, it's pretty easy to use. It's always going to be at the top right here. And you just got to make sure your configuration is set up, right? We just want to make sure that box is checked on your configuration home. And so you'll have the ability to copy those forward. Okay. And again, just to point it out again, copied from previous encounters. Okay, so you will notice that time, you will have that stamp right there, and you'll be able to see that it was pulled forward. Okay. Any questions about that? Oh, I want to show you, I think I want to generate this note and show you one more thing. Let me see if it shows up in here. Because it should actually show up on the actual note as well when we generate this note. Uh-oh. Look like it's got stuck there generating this note. Uh-oh. All right, give me a sec. I might have to task manager this. Go ahead and relaunch that. Sorry about that. But what I wanted to show you while that's loading, so when you actually generate that note, and you have the actual document, the master document, you'll see that these findings were copied over as well. When let me launch it, but you will be able to see that. Okay, so it's going to show up on the note as well. Okay, let me get in log back in. Pull up my test patient. And, okay, our next enhancement is for our generic procedures template. Okay, so let me go ahead and reopen this SOAP again. So when we go to procedures here, okay, so obviously clinicians need to be able to document multiple generic procedures on an individual encounter instead of having to create separate encounters for each, right? So previously you can only document one per encounter. And so we've made that new change. So if I go to generic here, okay, this enhanced workflow allows for us to put multiple procedures can now be entered on one single encounter. You'll notice that we've added my phrase functionalities in here as well. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll notice we'll have a grid. This is going to turn into a grid once I add it. And then we can add and update these. So let's say that I wanted to add uh, this procedure right here, right? I hit add. That's going to be added down there. And then let's say I wanted to add another one. Let's say I wanted to add whatever, this right here, right? Once that's been entered at the top, I can add it here. And so we've got this little grid down here, okay? So remember, previously we could only do one per encounter. Now we can do multiple, okay? So that is one of the additional enhancement that we made to make it a little bit easier for you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna get and close that out. Okay, and we're about to finish up here. Last but not least, we're actually gonna go back to our finalize encounter, finalize template. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. Okay, so we're in it right here. So I'm gonna come down here to the bottom right here. Okay, so we've now you can select the level of complexity right here with the radio buttons. So for their encounter to populate the G2211 checkbox, that's right here. Hold on, where'd it go? Let me open a different one because I don't see the G211. Oh, sorry. We have to select this first. So once we select this, then it's going to enable the G211. Okay. So the user can populate the G code by selecting any of these codes right here, which is pretty much 902, 202 through 205, and then the 212 through 215. Okay, for new or established patients, with the exception of the 99211 code. Okay, so additionally, to maintain consistency and clarity in coding practices, if a 25 modifier has been selected before or after selecting the G211 checkbox, the 2020, this will not be considered. So once I check that, that's no longer going to be considered. Okay. So again, once you add this G2211 code is going to be in here, and it's not going to consider that 25 modifier. Okay. And now last but not least, before we wrap this up, we now have the no charge box here. Okay, so you can now have the option to do a no charge on a visit, and you can finalize that template utilizing this checkbox here when you submit your final code. Okay. Um, that is going to wrap everything up for us. Do you guys have any questions that you might want to go over? See if I can answer those for you. Anybody want to, additional questions or anybody templates or the configuration or anything like that? And we did it in about an hour. You guys didn't have any questions. I'm going to check the Q&A. Let me check down there. Is there a way to show the documents without having to click an arrow? Which documents are you referring to? Which documents? I think Crystal chimed in on that. You talk the document library, like which documents? Is Crystal still on?
Yeah, I'm still here. So in what used to be the histories tab where the encounters are, and it shows all the templates underneath each encounter. Excuse me. Is there any way to make the document show under there as well, so you can see everything in that encounter without having to click on the arrow first?
Are you talking about, so you're talking about over here?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. So
Okay.
which you talking about this arrow right here?
Yeah, so like the current version that we're on, the
Hmm.
6.2021, you can see all the images, documents, and templates all under the encounter listed.
But you can't
So,
preview it.
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to preview it before actually. No, I don't think they have that set up in here. I can,
Okay.
double check for you, but yeah, looking like not. I see what you mean. You just kind of want to preview those images before actually going into it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Let me see. No, I think you're gonna have to launch it.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions you guys may have? And I kind of actually forgot to mention one thing. You also, one of the enhancement here also, I think it's under categories. You can change this view as well. I think I skipped over it. So you got the tree view and you've got the list view. That's another enhancement that we've added to as well. So just one more thing to give you guys when you're customizing this. All right. If that's the only question, we will conclude today's, and I will mark you guys down. I think Sean has got you guys' names down, and I'll make sure to mark you guys as attended. And that will conclude our lesson today. No other questions or anything else? Is that a good speed for you guys? We finished in about an hour. You guys didn't have too many questions. I want to make sure I didn't go too fast. All right. Perfect. All right, guys. Have a good one. And I will good luck on your enhancements and thanks for joining the class.